guys, it's Kara here, and it's Sunday afternoon, and I was just getting my meals together for the week, and I noticed I had some leftover butternut squash in the fridge that was gonna go bad. Then my mind got going, and I said, why don't I make some homemade butternut squash soup? I know this time of year Panera Bread comes out with this butternut squash soup that I love, but I wanted to find a way to make it at home. So I found a recipe online. It's by Betty Crocker, so I'm tweaking it just a little bit, but I thought I'd share with you guys how to make this soup. So for this recipe, it actually calls for a Dutch oven to cook it on the stovetop. If you have that, go ahead and use that, but I don't have one, so I'm actually gonna slow cook this recipe. So what I'm gonna do is kind of throw everything into my slow cooker and show you what I'm doing as we go along. So first thing you'll need is I think like 4 cups of butternut squash. So I picked up a little bit more at Walmart today when I went so that I had enough, using 2 different squashes. Who cares? It's probably gonna all taste the same anyways. So like 4 cups of squash. I already cut up a large onion we're gonna throw in there. And then we went apple picking yesterday, so this was a perfect way to make like a sweeter soup. So it's gonna be like an apple cinnamon butternut squash soup. So I've got 1 large apple just kind of chopped up. This is a Honeycrisp apple I'm using. You can use whatever kind you like. I am gonna add a little bit of brown sugar blend, the Splenda blend, but if you don't like Splenda, you could use regular brown sugar. I'm gonna use some chicken broth for this. I did get the reduced sodium, which is still pretty high in sodium, so I do recommend the lower sodium if you can find it. That's all for that. You are going to need some plain yogurt. I'm gonna use the plain Greek yogurt. You're gonna need some kind of milk. I've never tried this before, but we're gonna use the vanilla almond cashew milk. And then for additional toppings, what I have on hand are some chives I'm gonna cut up. You can top your soup with that, and some sunflower seeds or sunflower kernels are a nice little topper for the soup. So for the slow cooker, what I'm gonna do is kind of throw everything in here. So I plan to let this heat for about, I'm gonna see if I can slow cook it for 4 hours. You're basically wanting to heat it until the squash gets nice and tender. So if you're cooking it in the Dutch oven, it says to do it for to boil it and then let it cook for like 30 minutes, which is a much quicker process, but like I said, I wasn't gonna buy a Dutch oven just for this. So I'm thinking about 4 hours, maybe not even that long. I'm gonna check on it midway through. So squash is in, just adding in the full onion, adding in my full apple. So you can see it gets pretty full in there, so I didn't have a pan large enough to use on the stovetop, and you need something sturdy too, so that's why we're just slow cooking this baby. For the chicken broth, we're gonna use 3 cups of this. So, okay. There's 2 cups, and I'll add in 1 more cup. So I thought this would be a nice way to use my butternut squash this week. I normally just roast my squash in the oven with like a little sugar-free maple syrup, which is titties if you're looking for something to do with your butternut squash. But I thought this would be a fun way to do something different. It all of a sudden got really chilly in New York this week. It went from like fall to winter, so I was kind of craving chili. But this will be a nice way to have like a nice hearty soup, but still like fairly low and like not too high in carbs. A lot of nutrition is in this soup between the apples and the squash. I think it'll make really nice flavors. All right, so we've got that in there. I'm gonna add 2 packed tablespoons of the sugar, the maple brown sugar blend by Splenda. Okay, there's 2 of those. And then for cinnamon, I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon of cinnamon, maybe a heaping ½ teaspoon. And then I'm gonna take some black pepper. It's definitely a combo of like sweet and a little bit salty in here. and just a little bit of sea salt. It probably doesn't need too much. All right, so that is everything in my crock pot. I'm gonna go ahead and let this simmer for a while until the squash is tender. We are going to set the Greek yogurt and the milk in the fridge for now because we don't need it yet. What I'm gonna do is slow cook this, and then when the squash is tender, we're gonna puree it up in the blender, and then after that, we'll add the milk and the Greek yogurt to it to finish up the soup. So I will show you guys when I get there. All right, guys, so I've had the soup in my crock pot for 4 hours, and now what I'm gonna do is take the lid off. I'm going to basically use my blender to puree it up or blend it up into one thick, creamy, smooth consistency. I don't believe I'll be able to fit the whole batch in, but I'm just gonna use, I don't know, there might be a better approach, but I'm just gonna use a liquid measuring cup to kind of scoop out all the goods. And actually I probably should take this off. And put it into my blender, and then we're gonna blend it up in a couple batches. And then once I've got it all blended up, I'm gonna throw it back in my slow cooker just so I can mix it up, because we're gonna add a couple more ingredients. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a couple batches and get this blended up. All right, so I blended it up in 2 batches, and it blends up very nicely into a creamy consistency. And then the last thing we're gonna add in is 3/4 a cup. I'm using almond milk. You can use whatever kind of milk you like. And then I'm also adding in 6 ounces of plain Greek yogurt. So I'm just gonna add that in here and then stir it all up. The Greek yogurt and the milk will help give it kind of a creamier consistency. You could even sub these out and do cream cheese if you like. That's another good one to add in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this all together. And I've got my slow cooker on still to kind of warm it all up now that I've added the milk and the Greek yogurt to it. But pretty much after you do this step, after you warm it back up, it's ready to enjoy. And I purchased some chives and sunflower seeds to kind of top this soup off, and it's a nice fall favorite. So I don't know, I think I'll probably end this here because I don't believe I'm going to eat any of this tonight. I'll try a little taste of it though. That has an excellent flavor. You'll like it. It's very fallish tasting. Tastes like fall. I mean, how can you not like that? So it did take a little bit of time, but if you do have a Dutch oven, it'd be way quicker. But I don't mind slow cooking. I love slow cooking on Sundays. So I'll have this soup to enjoy all week long. If you guys like this video, please give it a like, try it out, and we'll see you in the next one.